Hi, my name is Cheryl Pacheco. I'm the head counselor at Amador Valley High School, and I'll be presenting on the college information for juniors. Thank you for being here. So, we're going to talk about, first of all, what we're covering during the presentation. So, what colleges are looking for, building a college list, applying to colleges, different application types, SATs and ACTs, so standardized testing updates, extracurricular activities, college application essays, financial aid and scholarships, NCAA for college athletes, and tips for parents and guardians. What if I have questions for next fall? So don't worry, the counselors will offer many types of college admissions help during college season. So we're going to do a presentation during access to all seniors during access in September. And then during access in October and November, we offer college application workshops where students can work on their applications and then we'll answer any questions that they have. We also do an evening college application workshop for students and then and parents if they want to attend with their student. And then we also do a college information night for seniors, usually the beginning of October for parents and students as well. For the presentation that we do in September, there are senior handouts and packets either emailed or given to you. And then we also post them on our website. We also email them out through Parent Square. Um, our evening presentations and webinars, like I said, we usually do a college information night for seniors the beginning of October, and then we coordinate with Las Positas to do financial aid presentations either during access or in the evening. Um, and then another good resource is our school counseling website at Amador, and there's a link for it right there. Don't forget to look at the college's website. So when you're ready to use a college website, you can search for any college on the internet, look for their admissions page, and you are going to be an incoming freshman or not or and an undergraduate. You look for the undergraduate admissions requirements so you can see which high school courses they require that you take, if any tests are required, so an SAT or an ACT, whether that's required or optional, or if they don't use it for admissions like the UCs or CSUs, or any essays that they might require, what type or kind of application that they use. And then you could do a campus tour, which may be virtual, or you can visit the campus and do an in person campus tour. You can check your Career Center's newsletter to see which college reps are coming to visit Amador, and also find out any information about any local college fairs. You can call the admissions office if you have any questions, and they want students to call, not parents or guardians. They want to hear from the students directly. So, what are colleges looking for? So, we're going to talk about the least restrictive to the most selective. So, least selective is open enrollment. So the least restrictive are the least selective, I should say, are our public community colleges. So there's 116 within the state of California, and there's 936 throughout the country. There are also some four-year colleges, both public and private, that also have open enrollment. Typical requirements, application, and then an application fee, but depending on your financial status, that may be waived. A high school transcript, usually they want an official one, which you can order through Parchment. They usually have a rolling admissions deadline, meaning that you can apply either until they're full, or in the case of community colleges, up until classes begin. Las Positas Community College. So this is a look at their website for admissions. Eligibility is you're either a high school graduate or 18 years old. And here's an example of another college admissions page. So this is for a state college. So you can see that website right there. Holistic or comprehensive review, that means that the college is looking at multiple factors to determine whether to admit you or not. And so here's a list of some of the factors that they may be looking at to consider you for admission. So, the application, so the information you provide on your application. On your high school transcript, they're going to look at your curriculum, so what courses you took, if you took any honors or AP courses, your grades, any trends that they're noticing. They may require teacher and or counselor recommendations. They may ask you to write an essay or multiple essays. They're going to look at, or they may look at your extracurricular activities. They may have you interview or submit a portfolio or an audition for certain schools or majors. So if you're an art major or a dance major, then you may need to submit a portfolio or audition for this for that major at the school. You may be an athletic recruit. Um, some colleges look at the major that you're applying to or area of study and admit students by major. So that may be a factor that they're looking at. They'll look for any talents that you have, if you've received any recognition in a specific area, test scores if required or if optional and you submitted test scores. Any experiences that you shared with on the application or, through an interview or essay, demographics, so they may look at your social and economic status, if you're first generation, your geography, so where you went to school, if you're a legacy student, so you have family members or parents that have attended that college, um, demonstrated interest, college relationship with the high school. So we have a couple feeder schools that are for CSUs, which means that if the student meets the minimum requirement for admissions, they would automatically be admitted to Cal State East Bay or San Francisco State. So that's what it's referring to in terms of relationship with high school. What about the most selective colleges? So there are some very selective colleges that accept very few applicants, sometimes as low as 5 to 25% of the applicants that apply. So you in those situations, you're thinking of schools like Stanford or UCLA, maybe Berkeley, sometimes UC San Diego. And then some of the Ivy League schools. Everything in the holistic review process is magnified. So stellar academics and test scores are not unique. They are assumed and expected. So they're just looking, they have a very high competitive pool of students that are applying. Significant achievements, talents, or unique experiences then are even more important. But always remember that institutional priorities drive the admissions process for many of these colleges. So, for example, an institution may be growing or shrinking their incoming freshman class and are looking for certain characteristics that for the class, in other words, not everything is in your control, and an admissions denial is not it's not personal, even though it may feel that way. But please keep that in mind. Demonstrates interest. So about 50% of colleges will take into account whether and how much a student has shown them that they are genuinely like their college or shows an interest when making an admissions decision. So it matters to the college because it's important that the students they accept them back. So they want, if they're accepting you, they're hoping that you will want to attend there. Um, so they want to get a new group of students on campus for the fall who will stay. And so while showing interest isn't the thing that gets you in, it certainly doesn't hurt. And so how do you do that? You would do that by reaching out to admissions, um, meeting that rep if they come on campus. Um, also, what else? If you go to a college fair and you meet the presenter, or also if you go on campus and you do a tour. So make sure you register and fill out all of your contact information. College list. How do I build mine? So, what makes a good college list? It's manageable, and we're really hoping that you have between 8 to 12 applications is usually typical. You're looking at a couple reach dream schools, a couple target a perfect fit, and a couple like pretty sure thing that you're going to get in. So you're right, looking at your GPA, and if they require test scores, your test scores, that you have a really good shot of getting in. So statistics to estimate, like I said, GPA and test scores, Ivy League. So the top UC, Stanford should be considered reach schools for all students. It doesn't mean that you won't get in. It's just it's not guaranteed because it's so competitive. Make sure every school on your list meets your needs and priorities. Only apply to the schools you have knowledge of and would be happy to attend. Because if you don't want to go there, you're spending a lot of time on an application where you could be spending your time on applying to another school. Try having about 5 reasons per college of why you would go there. Aim to realize that your list, to finalize your list early fall of your senior year, so September, October. Some college applications have deadlines in like mid October, so October 15th, October 31st. The UC's and CSU's applications open October 1st. So I would say actually maybe try and get your college list done by September. That'll give you a little bit more flexibility, and you'll have a better idea of what's coming up and when the deadlines are. There are over 2,000 four-year colleges, and things to consider when you're making your list. So you're going to look at the academic program, the weather, what the location is, so rural, big city, suburban, if there's any religious affiliation, school size, social recreation activities, price, if it's liberal or conservative college, athletics, distance from home. So if you want to come home more often, being further away can make it harder to do that. Look at the campus culture, learning style, academic support if you need any support, and then chances of getting it. So here are the 5 Ps that will help you determine if when you're these are the 5 things that you can look at when you're starting to build your list, some different factors. Um, So, person, does your GPA, courses taken, extracurricular, and test scores fit that school profile? And then what's the learning style at that college, and would you be successful there, and would you enjoy it? The program itself, does the college have your major or area of interest? Can you change your major? Are there internships or research opportunities? For example, Cal Poly SLO, which is a Cal State. It's pretty difficult to change your major. You have to apply for a major and you start to take your major classes right away. Most UCs don't offer nursing. So if you're a nursing major, some of the UCs may not be a good fit for you to apply to. Only UCLA and UC Irvine are offering the nursing major at UCs. Not all have engineering. There's some specialty schools where you can do a 3-2 and do BA, BS from a liberal college and get your BSc, your Bachelor's of Science and Engineering. So there's some specialty programs that you might want to look at for certain schools. What is the quality of the courses in your major? Who are your professors? So just some things to look at. For people, is the environment competitive, collaborative, small, medium, large? Are there opportunities to make connections with others of similar interests? Are there fraternities, sororities, place? What's the weather during that time of year you'll be on campus? Can you engage in your hobbies there? Is it the right distance from home? And then price, can you afford to go to that school? What kinds of financial aid packages would they be offering you if you attend? How do I find a school that's a good fit? So, we have the California Colleges program that you can use as a tool. You can log into the program through Clever, take surveys, and a match with colleges that are a good fit. Launch college and financial aid applications directly from California colleges. So, starting next school year, we're going to have students fill in their courses that they've taken and the classes they're taking their senior year into California colleges. And then it will link it with your California public college application. So it should make a pretty easy transition to completing your application. And we'll go over more of that when it gets closer, but something if you wanna go ahead and log in and kind of play around with it a little bit. We will have some instructions that we'll be, providing when we do our individual junior meetings about the California Colleges program, but just something that, I wanted to make you aware of. Attend college rep visits. You can check the career center to sign up for the college reps that are visiting on campus. Usually they are on the quad and available for students to drop in and ask their questions. Um, Visit colleges locally, and you can look at small, large, big city, urban, private. The more you can visit the colleges, I think the better sense you get of the college. And you want to find a school that's a good fit for you. Attend college fairs, register for college tours. Some are virtual online, and then research college websites. Some other helpful resources. There's some books that are helpful. There's some websites that you can use to look at to research schools, and then, like I said, different college fairs that you could participate and attend. Parents and guardians. So the student should be directing the college search and application process. You can help your students stay organized, but try not to do everything for them because they're going to be going off to college soon and they're going to need to learn these skills. It's important that the student has a say in what school to make it to the list because remember, the student has to spend the next 4 years at the college, so we want the student to feel comfortable on the campus. Be realistic, don't just focus on the prestige, and, make sure you visit the college even if you're visiting it virtually. Okay, applying to college. So I'm going to go over really quickly the requirements for graduation and the requirements for four-year college. So for graduation, students need 3.5 years of social studies in order to graduate. So that's a semester of global studies or ethnic studies they took freshman year, the 1 year of world history they took as sophomores, the 1 year of US history they're taking this year as juniors. And then next year they'll take a semester of civics and a semester of economics. For the UCs and CSUs, so UC stands for University of California, Cal State University stands for the Cal States. They're requiring 1 year of US history and 1 year of world history. And so the global studies, the civics and the econ, those will count as college prep electives. And we'll get to that requirement on the next slide. You need 4 years of English to graduate, 4 years of English for four-year college. For math for graduation, you must complete algebra or the equivalent of algebra and another year of math. So usually it's algebra one and either honors geometry, or math two. And if you've taken algebra in middle school, then that counts for your algebra requirement. And then your freshman year, you would take either honors geometry or geometry. That would count as your first year of math. And then your sophomore year, you would take either algebra 2 or honors algebra 2 or math 3. And then for UCCSU, they require 3 years of math and recommend a fourth year. So the 3 years of math they require are algebra, geometry, and algebra 2. The recommended fourth year would be pre-cal or honors pre-cal. And then the math 2 through 4 covers geometry and algebra 2 over 2 years. So math 3 would cover the first semester of Algebra 2, and Math 4 covers the second semester of, the second semester of Algebra 2. Science, you need 1 year of a physical science and 1 year of a life science for graduation. So the entry level physical science is usually earth and space, chemistry, or physics. And then for life science, it's usually biology. For UCCSUs, they require 2 years, 1 year of a physical science and 1 year of a life science, and then the UCs recommend 3 years. And then for the world language requirement, it's either 1 year of a world language or 1 year of a visual performing art or 1 year of a CTE class for graduation. For four-year college, they require 2 years of the same language and they recommend 3 years. If you came in taking Spanish 2 as a freshman, that counts as your second year. And then as a sophomore, if you took Spanish 3, that counts as your third year. For UCs and CSUs, in addition to the 2 years of the same language, they also require 1 year of a visual performing art. Um, and a visual performing art, some examples are drama, theater production, digital arts, video production, art, ceramics, photography, AP art history, AP music theory. Um, AP Art History is offered through PVA, but it's not offered at Amador. AP Studio Art is offered at Amador, and band or choir. So any of those would count as your year of VAPA. So again, the UCCSUs require 1 year of VAPA in addition to the 2 years of the same world language, recommended 3. And then the graduation requirement from Amador is either a year of a visual performing art or a year of a world language or a year of a CTE course. CTE is not required for UCCSU, but the CTE courses we offer usually count as a college prep elective or may meet another subject area for UCCSUs. And you can find out which subject area the course falls under by looking at the UC A through G list for Amador. You need 2 years of PE for graduation, not a requirement for four-year college. You need 1 semester of health for graduation, not a requirement for UCCSU. However, that 1 semester of health will count as towards the 1-year college prep elective. You need 80 elective credits in order to graduate from Amador. You need 1 year of a college prep elective for UCCSU admissions, and that could be your health and ethnic studies or global studies, or your civics and econ, or a elective class that doesn't fall into the other categories, um, and counts as a G elective for the UCCSUs. You need 230 credits in order to graduate. You need 15 units to be eligible for UCCSU, and you get that just by counting down to history, for English, and so on. D grades count for graduation. D grades do not count for UCCSU or college admission. You have to have a C minus or above. And Fs don't count for graduation or for college admissions. Senior course selection. So, what are your goals? What is the level of selectivity of the colleges you're aiming for? So, you're going to want to make sure that if you're applying to a four-year college, you're taking the classes that you need to take in order to be eligible. What is your ability? So, will you be able to maintain passing grades at that school? For your senior year. So you're going to look at your course load and grades. They're both important for your senior year because for some of the colleges, they will ask for a copy of your first semester grades your senior year. If not, all the colleges will want a final transcript, and they do have GPAs that they require that you maintain in order to keep your admissions. And if you go below that, so if you earn a D or F or it drops below the designated grade point requirement, then they can rescind your admissions. Only challenge yourself with honors and AP in areas of interest, ability, and skill. There's no magic number of AP courses. Are you matching your level of rigor from previous years? Because they want to see that you're maintaining the level of difficulty if you've been able to be successful in that level of difficulty. Um, Put your course class selections in context with your life. So there's only 24 hours in a day. So do you have time to do all of your other responsibilities and extracurriculars and be able to still do well in the courses that you signed up for? Showing that you're well rounded or you have specific interests are both good. So they want to see that you are a well rounded student. So again, balance versus burnout. Will I have time to sleep? Will I have time to keep or build friendships and relationships? Do my outside activities, pursue passions? Will I be overwhelmed with homework, studying, tests, and pace? So, obviously your mental health comes first. We want you to be challenged, but we don't want you to be overwhelmed. So, if it's having an impact on your mental health, then you should look at lightening your course load for a next school year. If I took one less rigorous course, will my grades be better overall? Will one more challenging course make a difference in the big picture? So, those are some questions you can ask yourself. What colleges are looking for in the transcript? So, 5 academic courses, all 4 years. Colleges may calculate GPAs in different ways. Colleges will recalculate GPA after first and second semester of senior year. That is even after you've been conditionally admitted. Balance load, trends. So, are you continuing to do better? Are you continuing overloading and doing worse? Are there blips? Are they explained on your application? So maybe a semester where your grades slipped because something challenging was going on in your life, you would have an opportunity to explain that on the application. What classes that let's see, are you taking classes that show what you may be interested in? So high school's a time for you to explore, so it's okay to try things out. Um, and then make sure that you show the colleges what you're learning. Even if you took a class that you thought you were interested in, and then it turned out that it wasn't what you thought you were going to be interested in, and you then became interested in something else, they want to know all of those things because that will explain any changes in what you've applied to. Reminders about district courses. So each school where an outside course was taken will need to be added to your college application as a separate school attended. Except for the heritage language schools, if you took Chinese, Tamil, Tagalog, Hindi, etc. Um, so let's see. So you are going to have to order an official transcript from each of those outside institutions that you attended, and you're going to want to send them directly to the colleges, regardless if it's on your POSD transcript or not. You have to send the transcript directly from that outside institution to all the colleges that you're applying to. So, you do have to list all the outside courses taken on your college application. Um, if you don't disclose everything that you've taken, regardless if it's added to your PhD transcript or not, it can be grounds to having your application rescinded. Or once you're a student at that school, they can revoke your admission. So it's really important that you disclose all the courses that you've taken through PhD and outside of PhD. Geometry is required by the UCs and nothing validates it. Geometry taken before 7th grade does not count and will need to be retaken for UCs. You will need to report everything on your college applications. Hiding grades has resulted in dismissal from college, so you can watch this video here for more information about out of district courses and how it impacts your GPA. Different types of colleges and their applications. So, the community college option, um, why you might consider community college as a first choice. Maybe you're not sure what you want to major in. Maybe you didn't want to end up at a four-year college that doesn't have your choice of major. Um, let's see. There's a higher acceptance rate for transfer students. So some selective colleges have over a 90% transfer percentage of students. They usually transfer as juniors once their general ed classes or their GEs are completed. Students may not be ready to leave home just yet, or maybe it's for financial reasons because community colleges can be more affordable. Um, there's no application required, you're just really registering. You don't have to take the SAT or ACT even when you transfer. They don't, look at your high school coursework or grades, for admissions, but it could be used to help with, placement in math or English. They don't require any essays or personal statements, and there's no letters of recommendation. Registration can take place anywhere between November and March of senior year, sometimes even later. There's 100 community colleges in California. Um, a majority of our students do LOSPO, or Las Positas in Livermore, Ohlone in Fremont, and DVC in San Ramon. But we do have kids that want to have the college experience, so they go to community colleges that are closer to four-year colleges. So there's Cuesta in San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara City College in Santa Barbara, um, San Diego City College or Grossmont in San Diego, where there could be dorms. Um, Tuition costs is often free, but there are other expenses such as parking, books, etc. Open door policy, like I said, high school graduation or 18 years old are the requirements. Students can earn a associate's degree or an associate's of science degree and then transfer to a four-year college. They're also referred to as AA and AS. Transfer, admissions agreements, so they have like, if you take certain classes and get certain grades, you would automatically be admitted. They have them with specific, CSUs, UCs, and private schools, and then students will work, with their transfer counselor at the community college to learn how to be on track with these transfer guarantees. Transfer guarantees, so Lawsville ranks in the top 10 for transfers. They have a UC transfer admission guarantee, so it's called TAG, with UC Davis, Irvine, Merced, Riverside, Santa Barbara, and Santa Cruz. Transfers to Berkeley, UCLA, and San Diego are available but not guaranteed because they're so competitive. For CSU, it's called the ADT, the Associate Degree for Transfers. So students who earn an AA or AS degree at LOSPO are guaranteed admissions to a CSU. If the CSU or the major is impacted, then ADT students are given additional consideration for admission. And then private and out of state, it's called TAA, Transfer Admissions Agreement. So Arizona State, University of Arizona, University of Hawaii, University of the Pacific, which is in Stockton, or UOP is what they call it for short. Um, Santa Clara University, St. Mary's, JFK University, and the historically Black colleges and universities um, also have transfer admission agreements with LOSPO and other community colleges. So this shows you throughout the state of California where all the community colleges are located. So, California State Universities or CSUs, there are 22 campuses throughout the state of California. You apply through CSU Apply, and the window to submit your applications are between October 1st and November 30th. Um, this year and many years, applications deadlines are extended for certain CSUs. In a normal year, recommend finishing your application before Thanksgiving break because when you get closer to the deadline, everybody is logging in at the same time, and every year the application or the website crashes. So you don't want to be in a panic on those last few days. If you can get it done early, then it's just less stressful for you, and then you can enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving break. Cost ranges between 20 and 28,000 per year with room and board. Tuition is typically between 5 and 6,000. Excuse me. They don't require any essays or letters of recommendation. There could be a supplemental evaluation by campus, so you can click on that link to see which campuses require the supplemental evaluation and which majors at that campus. SATs and ACT are not considered for admission, but can be used for placement if provided. So again, they will not look at them for admissions. Cal State looks at your 10th and 11th grade A through G courses to calculate for eligibility. And in order to be eligible to apply, you must have a 2.5 minimum GPA. And then if you have between a 2.0 and a 2.49, you can still be considered, and they will be looking at those supplemental factors included on that link above. And here is a list of the 22 Cal States. Maritime Academy merged with Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. So that's why if you have an older child, or if you've heard in the past that there were 23 CSUs and now they're 22, that's why. University of California, the UCs, there's one application for all 9 campuses. So they use their own application, and there's a link to the UC application here. It opens August 1st to start reviewing, and then students can submit the application between October 1st and November 30th. Same thing applies with the CSU. Try and get your application done by Thanksgiving because the website crashes. Requires 4 essays, or they're actually called personal insight questions, or PIQs, and you choose 4 out of the 8 questions. It's 350 words each for a total of 1,400 words. Cost is between $30,000 and $36,000 a year. Tuition's $13,000. GPA is based on your 10th and 11th A through G courses to calculate for eligibility. Same GPA as the Cal States, but for the UCs, the minimum GPA is a 3.0. You can click on that link to see how the UCs are holistically reviewed, what factors that they look at for when they're determining admissions. The former 14-point review is now a 13-point review since no SATs or ACT scores are used for admissions. And then you can use the undergraduate admission summary to select a particular UC to see admission stats and how many applicants and how many are admitted. And then there's you can see the University of California colleges throughout the state of California. UC and CSU GPA calculation. Neither system will want you to send official transcripts when you apply. You self-report grades, and they'll ask you for an official transcript later. So you need to make sure that you're being accurate when you're recording your grades. So it computes grades 10 and 11 only for your eligibility GPA, excludes pluses and minuses. Credit, no credit, carried out of district are not calculated in GPA. Excludes PE and any class without a P or HP in the title. Excludes any PE classes and any class without a P or HP in the title. Only awards extra points for certain honors in all AP classes. So the UCA through G list to see which honors courses are weighted. Caps the extra grade points it will award for honors AP at 8 semesters or 4-year-long courses taken in grades 10 through 11. An A is worth 4 points, a B is worth 3 points, a C is worth 2 points, a D is worth 1, and an F is worth 0. But a weighted course, so any of our weighted honors or AP courses, For GPA purposes, an A is worth 5 points, a B is worth 4, and a C is worth 3. Um, but D grades are still only 1 point, while D grades are to 5 credits for graduation. It's not considered a passing grade for college. So in order to calculate your GPA, what you would do is for UCCSU is that you would go ahead and count up during your sophomore and junior years how many A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's that you received. This GPA for UCCSUs will start if you took any classes the summer after ninth grade through the summer after 11th grade. And then you would go to the GPA calculator. You would enter in the number of A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's, the number of honors courses that you've taken, and then you would click on Calculate My GPA. Other types of grade calculations. So there are 2 GPAs listed on your transcript. One is your overall unweighted GPA. So it includes all the courses that you've taken so far. CR and NC grades are not calculated into the GPA. That's not something that PUSD grades that we give, but we did do that during COVID. Remember, only semesters go on the transcript, so there's only 2 grades per year. Some colleges will ask you for an unweighted GPA, and the overall GPA is the one that you will use. And then overall weighted, so if you took any weighted honors or AP courses, this GPA may be higher. If you didn't take any weighted courses, then your overall and overall weighted should be the same. When you look at those scary averages for GPAs for college admissions, remember that the range is all students who applied, not the students who ended up attending. Some students with very high GPAs may have applied to a UC with no intention of going there and then inflating the average. Also, students got in with GPAs below the average too. So just keep that in mind when you see the average GPAs. Private and out-of-state colleges, the United States has approximately 4,000 institutions, 1,600 public colleges, and some are state colleges like the Cal States, 1,700 private colleges, regular 4-year and then not-for-profit, and then 985 for-profit private institutions. So like the Academy of Art in San Francisco or DeVry or the University of Phoenix. Total costs can be anywhere between $40,000 and $80,000. Tuition can run from $20,000 to $60,000 per year. Some private institutions do offer more financial aid. Sometimes they promise that a student will graduate in 4 years. Applications and requirements vary. So Common App or Common Application, it's called Common App for short, is used by more than 800 different colleges, and it opens on August 1st of senior year. Check websites for many for whether or not the colleges require the SAT or ACT. Many are still test optional, whether they require essays or letters of recommendation. And so here's a screenshot of some of the California private colleges. And then here are some admissions rates for some of the private schools within the state of California. So many great colleges. So you can look at some of the schools that are out of state that you may not have considered when you're putting together your college lists. And certainly it's not limited, and we're not necessarily endorsing these ones. It's just so that you know that there are colleges out of state, public and private. When you're looking at colleges to apply, just look at your options broadly. How does a counselor get to know me? And do I hire a private college counselor? How does a college counselor get to know me? So despite the number of students assigned to each counselor, we do remember the small interaction. So if you've been professional, if we've gotten polite emails or our personal interactions with you. Make sure you're responding to emails or summons to the counseling office. We like to see self advocacy. So come up when you need help. How do you react to setbacks, both large and small? What are your relationships with teachers, peers, and the school community? Um, a private college counselor cannot replace the school counselor. So only the school counselor can complete the counselor portions of the college application, such as the Common App. There is two parts to it. There's the secondary school report where we upload a transcript and the school profile. And then there's the counselor evaluation. So even if a student has one or more teacher or other recommenders, their school counselor still has two parts for on the Common App and other applications such as MIT and Georgetown to complete. The college application experience. What are the benefits students have with experiencing completing their own application? So this may be the first of many forms very similar to this that you will complete in your lifetime. So yes, we understand it is high stakes. So make sure you check everything before hitting submit. There have been some problems that have happened in the past when students have not completed their own applications. Some serious mistakes have been made. In one situation, I think it's happened a couple of times, where there's been an incorrect listing of social security numbers from private counselors. So make sure your student's completing it and not the private counselor. It Yeah, it just can be kind of a mess to try and fix. And on the application itself, it asks that the student's completing it. So to have to call the college and say the private counselor completed it and put the wrong social security number can create a lot of problems for the student. So and then another situation that has happened a few times is that the parent, student, guardian is helping so much they accidentally submit the college application in their own name instead of their students. Um, so again, very difficult phone calls to make and hard to fix. So just make sure your student is doing their own application to try and avoid these serious problems. We don't want you to fall into these mistakes. Application options. So there's different types of applications. There's the regular admissions, regular decision, rolling, early action, restrictive early action, and early decision 1 and 2. So what do you apply for? So regular decision, all the UCs and CSUs, and there's some out of state public and private that do regular decisions. So student does their application for by a regular date, um, and as long as it's done by that date, then you've submitted your application within the window. Again, for the UCs and CSUs, you're submitting between October 1st and November 30th, and then you usually find out whether you've gotten in March of your senior year. Rolling admissions means that and it's non-binding. So if you get into a UC, CSU, or any regular decision school, could be private or out of state, you're not required to go there. It's a school that you can consider to accept your admissions for, but you're not required to go. Rolling admission means that they usually have more spots than applicants. And so they don't necessarily have a deadline and they'll keep taking applications until they reach that deadline. Sometimes they never close, sometimes they're always open. And again, it's non binding. Sometimes it's nice to apply to a rolling admission school because you feel more confident and you feel better once you've gotten admission into at least one school. So that might be something that you might want to consider. Early action is usually for private schools. Sometimes it's a public out of state school. It's not binding, meaning that you're applying early. You find out early if you're getting in or not. Usually deadlines for early action are October 15th or October 31st or November 1st. Sometimes there's a November 15th one. And then usually you find out in December whether you've been admitted or not. Again, it's a nice feeling knowing that you got in somewhere. Sometimes they'll roll you over to regular admissions if they feel like you're a strong applicant, but they didn't accept you through early action. Sometimes the applicant pool can be a little bit more competitive through early action because they're really trying to lock in students into their schools. And I think colleges feel like if you find out early that you've gotten in, maybe you'll more likely accept their admissions offer. Restrictive application plans. One is early decision. Early decision, you apply early, you find out you get in early, but you're legally bound to attend that school. So, unless it's your first choice, there's no reason to apply to that school early decision. You can always apply if they have an early action program or a regular decision program, you could apply through either of those. Um, Usually the early decision application deadlines, they can be October 15th, November 1st, October 31st, and then again, you find out in December. But and some schools have an early decision one, which those are usually the deadlines. And then if they have an early decision two, usually that deadline's January 1st. If you applied to the early decision one, usually you're finding out in December that you've gotten in. And again, it's legally binding. So you would have to go there. Restricted early action means that you're applying early action to that school. It's not legally bounding, but they may tell you that you can't apply to another school early action or early decision or restricted early action. So just make sure that you're reading the fine print on that. Again, you're not required to go, but they're wanting you to only apply restrictive early action and potentially no other schools for early decision, early action, or early restricted early action. And usually you're applying for that type of application again, October 15th, October 31st, or November 1st are usually the deadlines. And then you find out whether you've gotten in December. Regular admissions deadlines for private and out of state, a lot of times you would find out. So for those deadlines, it's usually around January 1st or December 15th or December 31st, January 10th. Those admissions decisions usually come out in April. So regular decision enrolling. So I think I kind of went over this already, but check the college websites to see which application that they're going to use. Regular decision deadlines fall between January through March, with the majority of them in January, February, and decisions are usually given in March, April. It's a normal application, not binding. Rolling admission deadline is when they're full. So, depending on when you apply, you'll be notified of a decision within 2 days or 2 months when they receive your application. First come, first serve. I see this a lot. Like if it's a students are doing it for impacted majors. So I see it a lot for students who are applying for nursing, that sometimes they do rolling admissions or they apply early rolling admissions for nursing programs because it's so hard to get in. Early action and restrictive early action. Early action. So this is non-binding. You apply early, you hear from the schools early. Not all schools have this option, and you can apply to any number of schools early. You can compare financial aid packages. For students who are not waiting on senior year grades to help with GPA and are done taking the SAT, ACT if needed, it shows the school that you're interested in going there. And then restrictive early action, just like early action, but the student is restricted to applying early to that one school. And is generally restricted to private schools. So Stanford in the past has used a restrictive early action. Early decision one and two, this is a binding agreement, meaning that if the student gets accepted, they must retract all applications to other schools and attend the school. Students can apply early decision to one school at a time. And financial aid can become difficult to negotiate. So you basically waived your right to compare financial aid packages. Students should consider applying only if it's their first choice school. and can afford it without financial aid. Most schools accept a higher percentage of students from the ED pool. However, the statistics could be skewed because it's a stronger than average pool of candidates. And then you're showing interest. Some schools offer two early decision programs. So there's an early decision one, which again is usually October or November 1st, and then early decision two is usually in January for the deadlines. What's the deal with admissions testing? Should I take the SAT or ACT? So, with COVID, a lot of the schools went to not requiring the SATs or ACTs or making them optional. Um, Many colleges have gone test blind or test optional. About 80% are that way at the moment. Um, at first, this was due to a lack of testing centers during COVID, but now has caused a complete reconsideration of the validity and worth of the tests. So, test blind means scores will not be considered even if you have them. Test optional means that you can submit the scores if you have them and want them to be considered, but you don't have to. Colleges said that choosing not to submit scores will not affect an admissions decision. But if you indicate on an application that you will be submitting scores, submit them. You could use this fair test website to check on the scores on the schools that you want to apply to and whether they require the SAT or not. College Board has gone away with the optional essay portion of the SAT test. College Board has also done away with the subject test, but students can still take AP exam scores to prove mastery of a subject. And some more changes. In the US, the SAT has gone digital. Students will still test at a test center or school site. The test has gone from 3 hours in length to 2 hours in length, so a little bit shorter. And a calculator may be used on all math sections. Remember, 70 to 80% of colleges are test optional or test blind for your class right now, and many of those colleges intend to stay that way. So you can use that as a gauge as to whether you want to take the SAT or not. SAT or ACT. So some oftentimes juniors take the March test the first time, and then there's a May or June test junior year. PUSD just offered the SAT on March 14th for juniors only. Seniors may retake the test again in late summer or fall. PUSD is offering a Saturday, October 11th each year for seniors only to test with the SAT. All colleges accept the August and September SAT and the September and October ACT. Some competitive schools want testing done by October of senior year. Most colleges allowed through December of senior year or even later now, knowing that scores will come after you apply. So just plan accordingly. Try not to take the test more than 2 times, 3 at most, and then students may take the SAT or ACT to compare your scores and see which one you do better in. Some things to keep in mind if you need to take the test. The SAT or ACT were never and still are not required for community college, even when you transfer. Colleges accept either the SAT or the ACT. Super scoring is when some colleges, not all, will take the highest section score from multiple SAT and SAT test settings and put them together to make an overall high score for you. Score choice is a feature created by College Board that allows students the option to choose SAT scores to send to colleges for an additional fee. However, colleges usually do not like this. They want to see all of your scores so they can put together the best package for you. And colleges have the option to not allow score choice, and many colleges will not accept your scores if you use it. So that results in causing a delay, and then you have to reorder your scores. Extracurricular activities. So, for extracurricular activities, there's no magic formula or checklist. Students should participate in school activities they enjoy and can be involved with throughout high school. A sustained involvement is valued. Students don't need to research, have an internship, or do volunteer work in another country in order to get admitted to college. Students shouldn't do activities just because it looks good on a college application. Colleges know when students do that. Never fabricate a hardship on a college application. Be engaged, motivated students who are pursuing their interests. Essays. So there's personal essays and supplemental essays. So for essays, why do colleges ask for them? No matter what question, they are really asking, who are you? How did you arrive at who you are? What are you planning on doing at college with the knowledge and passion outlook that you have? They want to hear your voice and learn what's important to you. They are looking for fit. It's a form of a college interview that they can't when they can't conduct one. So, how does the essay benefit you? It personalizes the application, it distinguishes you from your peers who may look similar on paper. You're telling your personal story. It explains something about you that isn't already apparent in the application or explains something on your transcript. It shares something special about you, and it demonstrates that you can express yourself effectively and persuasively in writing. Personal essays. Private school essays and UC are asking for very different styles of writing. So the UC must be clear and to the point. The Common App essays are often more creative and or are you responding to a creative prompt, quote, or situation. This is only part of the application that allows a student's voice to be heard. It's what will differentiate applications who have similar grades and test scores. Focus on you, not an event, accomplishment, or another person. The bulk of the essay should focus on you and your reflection of a situation, person, or activity. Use the opportunity to introduce something new that isn't already a part of your application and make sure you stick to the prompt. Don't try and use one essay that had a different topic and try to make it work for another essay question because you can tell when reading it that it doesn't answer the question that they're asking. Supplemental essays. Optional means do it if you have an interest in that school. Just as important as the main essays, so edit, be thoughtful, and put effort in. Show demonstrated interest. Colleges are looking for fit for their school. Colleges may include a why question. They're seeking out the student's motivation and thoughtfulness. Good answers show that you're excited about the school and have done your research. Financial aid. So there's three umbrellas for financial aid. One is federal, and the federal ones are need-based, based on a family's income, and SAI, Student Aid Index, which the government uses to determine how much money that particular family can afford to spend on for college for a student. Institutional, which is the university, and so the college or university itself can provide need-based aid, merit-based aid sometimes is not available. Athletic-based aid sometimes is not available also. Private, so this can be for any can be given for any reason, usually has an application and a deadline. So financial aid, so there's the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, or there's the California Dream Act application. Financial aid night is every year during the first semester, and usually we do it with Las Positas College. They usually come and present, or we'll host a webinar. PUSD must report that all seniors either did the FAFSA Dream Act or opted out their senior year. Cal Grant, the amateur submits the GPA, Cal Grant GPAs electronically unless students opt out. Every student who submits the FAFSA or Dream Act will have a Cal Grant submitted. This is state money that the student uses if they qualify and remain in California for college. Excuse me, the CSS profile. Some private schools require this College Board created financial aid application. Watch for deadlines. It's $25 for the first school and $16 for any additional schools for the CSS profile. Scholarship list is on the college and career website, and then there's additional websites to search for scholarships. We usually get local scholarship deadlines for seniors is usually in the month of March. FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid or DREAM Act, it usually opens October 1st and has a California priority deadline of March 2nd. Money is sometimes on a first come, first served basis, so fill out the form as soon as possible. Have a parent or guardian fill it out with you because it's going to ask some information about their finances. Lots of community colleges and local colleges have nights to help families fill them out. Um, Needs to be filled out for any to be eligible for any type of needs. So whether it's needs-based, merit-based, scholarship, or athletic. Um, Everyone should fill out the FAFSA or DREAM Act every year from senior year until you graduate college. Even if you think your family might qualify, even if you think your grades aren't that good, even if you think you may not be eligible. The Western Undergraduate Exchange. So the and then there's the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education. Um, so students who are residents in the Western states are eligible to apply for reduced tuition rate at participating colleges outside of their home state. The WUI, or the Western Undergraduate Exchange, reduces in tuition is not automatically awarded to all eligible candidates. Many institutions limit the number of new WUI awards each academic year. Be aware that some colleges automatically award WUI scholarships when you meet a certain criteria, which could be GPA, test scores, a separate application, and some schools have a limited number of scholarships available. The Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education members include Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oregon, South Dakota, Utah, Washington, Wyoming, and the Commission of the Northern Mariana Islands. Some colleges have WUI scholarships only for specific majors. NCAA. So if you are hoping are planning on playing a sport in college, you would need to register for the NCAA. Request a transcript to be submitted by your high school via parchment, and then send any SATs or ACT scores if needed using the code 999. Make sure that you are eligible both athletically and academically. Academic requirements may differ from graduation and UC A through G requirements. So here is the Division 1 and Division 2 worksheets that you can use to make sure that you're taking the classes that you need to be eligible to play Division 1 or Division 2 in college in terms of your academics. And then there's also the student athlete eligibility website that you need to go to register. In junior year, you've selected your classes for your senior year by February 10th. So you should be starting to research colleges, register for the SAT or ACT if needed, visit colleges and or reps offered by the Career Center. Look at this year's scholarship list. It's listed on the Career Center's website at your school. It's also listed on your Amador counselor's website to see if there are any scholarships for juniors and or to see the ones that you may want to apply to next year as a senior. Summer after junior year, pursue your interests. Maybe you're volunteering, maybe you're working. Start to narrow down your college list and start to think about what your personal goals or your majors or what you're looking for in a college. Fall of senior year, you're going to finish your college list, and then you're going to begin working on your applications. You can attend the events that we offer here at Amador, and your counselors can help you. You're going to submit your UC CSU applications, any early applications, attend a financial aid webinar. We usually offer it in December, but we have to coordinate it with Las Positas, and then apply for the FAFSA or the DREAM Act. The winter of your senior year, finish submitting any college applications, apply for scholarships, make sure you breathe because it's a lot senior year. You want to make sure that you're maintaining your grades. And then in the spring of your senior year, you're going to receive your admissions decisions. May 1st is the deadline to choose your colleges. And then, of course, you graduate. Woohoo! So here's a link for the top questions that we got from last year's seniors after the presentation. So you can look at that and look at the answers. And then remember, there's multiple perfect pathways for everyone at every academic level. Not every great college has super competitive admissions ratings. GPA is not everything. Test scores are not everything. Fit is more important than prestige when picking a college that's right for you. And the best way to be a great applicant for college is to have balance in your high school courses and in life. We don't want kids feeling burnt out when they get to college. Balance is achieved by doing your best to enjoy life, grow academically, get rest, build relationships, and pursue passions. And just remember, your school counselors are here to help you. So thank you so much for listening. College is just ahead, and hopefully this information was helpful. And we look forward to meeting our juniors during our individual meetings. Okay, great. Have a great day. Bye bye.